How many billionaires does it take to match the net worth of half of the world's population? In 2015, the richest 62 persons on the planet owned as much private net wealth as the poorer half of humanity, more than 3.5 billion people. If they decided to go on a field trip together, they would comfortably fit into a large coach. The previous year, 85 billionaires were needed to clear that threshold, calling perhaps for a more commodious double-decker bus. And not so long ago, in 2010, no fewer than 388 of them had to pool their resources to offset the assets of the global other half, a turnout that would have required a small convoy of vehicles or filled up a typical Boeing 777 or Airbus A340. But inequality is not just created by multi-billionaires. The richest 1% of the world's households now hold a little more than half of global private net wealth. Inclusion of the assets that some of them conceal in offshore accounts would skew the distribution even further. These disparities are not simply caused by the huge differences in average income between advanced and developing economies. Similar imbalances exist within societies. The wealthiest 20 Americans currently own as much as the bottom half of their country's households taken together. And the top 1% of incomes account for about a fifth of the national total. Inequality has been growing in much of the world. In recent decades, income and wealth have become more unevenly distributed in Europe and North America, in the former Soviet bloc, and in China, India, and elsewhere. And to the one who has, more will be given. In the United States, the best-earning 1% of the top 1%, those in the highest 0.01% income bracket, raised their share to almost 6 times what it had been in the 1970s, even as the top tenth of that group, the top 0.1%, quadrupled it. The remainder averaged gains of about 3/4, nothing to frown at, but a far cry from the advances in higher tiers. The 1% may be a convenient moniker that smoothly rolls off the tongue, and one that I repeatedly use in this book, but it also serves to obscure the degree of wealth concentration in even fewer hands. In the 1850s, Nathaniel Parker Willis coined the term upper 10,000 to describe New York high society. We now may be in need of a variant, the upper 10,000th, to do justice to those who contribute the most to widening inequality. And even within this rarefied group, those at the very top continue to outdistance all others.